Penn National is buying out the rest of Barstool. Did Portnoy sell for too little money? Or was it just right? Penn is acquiring the rest of Barstool Sports, which means now the company is, I think, 100% owned by Penn National, the gambling company. Penn originally bought a minority stake, but with an option to buy the rest of the company over the subsequent years. They did that. They exercised 2 additional tranches over these past couple of years after they bought into Barstool in 2020. Puts the total price tag for Barstool at $550 million. They raised very little money, maybe less than $30 million over the history of the company. It was founded in 2003, 20-year time horizon. And I'm sure he has, Portnoy personally, a huge personal stake, or had a huge personal stake in the business. They hadn't needed to raise much money, bootstrapped this thing for years and years and years. If you go watch some of the earlier videos on him in Boston and reporting off of a water cooler, literally off of a water cooler. That's kind of the vibe to it. And I remember being in college and watching these guys. So yeah, they've been around forever. It's a great journey. Another great founder story. Congratulations to those guys. And, they were really one of the first to trigger this convergence between media and gambling, as online gambling has proliferated now, and you've seen DraftKings and FanDuel as the 2 kind of tech native startups get into the space. But then you've now seen the incumbents, Penn National, MGM, Entain is another one I'll talk about in a second, Caesars and others start to get into their own digital betting capabilities. You've seen a huge rush to say, well, how do we acquire users? And what people have found out pretty quickly is that it becomes expensive to have to pay for ads and promotions and these kinds of things to continuously attract new users. Instead, how can you have a recurring business model like media, which, if you enjoy gambling, there's a lot of people talking about who to bet on, what are the updates on the players, right? Who do we think is going to win this game, that game, right? That is a media business. So you can see how media and gambling go hand in hand. And that's basically the convergence you're seeing. No new news here, but essentially what you're seeing is just an affirmation of that strategy for Penn to continue its buyout and buy out the whole thing of Barstool. Penn liked that strategy so much that they actually bought another company for almost 4 times the money called Score Media. And that was just a year after, basically in October of 2021 of all times, for $2 billion. And it's not just Penn National that's done this. DraftKings has been doing M&A in 2021, getting it more into media. The Action Network was bought for a couple $100 million by a gambling kind of roll-up conglomerate. If you can't buy the company, there are a bunch of sports media companies looking at huge deals for licensing, gambling licensing relationships. ESPN was in talks with Caesars and DraftKings for a $3 billion licensing deal. So there's just a lot of money floating around, that convergence of online digital gambling and media. And the thought there is that we're still in the early sectors, right? There's still a lot of states that have not approved digital gambling. And if they have approved it, they've put a lot of handcuffs around it. And there's just a bunch of states, big states like Florida, Texas, and California that haven't legalized it at all. So again, when you look at the justification for these deals, these media companies operate nationally. And so when you look at the economics, that's a part of the calculus is, hey, eventually these states are going to open up. Hey, eventually we're going to be able to convert a lot more consumers to this. And so let's establish our foothold now and invest in this over the long term. That's another reason why, particularly maybe last year, You saw a lot of news about potential consolidation. It's another thing that you see a lot when new disruptive digital capabilities are coming into the forefront. Traditional players consolidate and then can have more resources to invest in that digitization, or just cram out new competitors from coming in. There's a bunch of offers made to buy Entain, which is out of Europe. They own a number of online poker sites and gambling sites, and they have a JV with MGM called BetMGM, and MGM was looking to buy them, and then DraftKings said, "Oh no, we'll buy you for over $22 billion." Both of those deals never went through, but you're just seeing a lot of activity brought about. The digitization of the industry, the convergence of media and sport and online sports betting. It's only going to continue, and you can certainly see Penn reaffirming that they like this strategy and have doubled and now really tripled down on that approach. Honestly, what I would see is, can DraftKings move into physical? That's really how you complete the circle. I mean, if you have media, online, and then physical. I mean, those are basically the three core functions of it. The physical, I think, does make a big difference from a branding, from a just kind of customer loyalty standpoint, and trust. And I think it gives you you basically need to have the fullest spectrum possible so that you can invest in digital and cover these losses. And DraftKings has a bunch of losses, and arguably, their stock price is down to 30% of what it was 6 months ago, or whatever it is. But let's see, what are they valued at? DraftKings has a $7 billion market cap. Caesars has $9 billion, and Caesars actually makes money, and DraftKings loses a bunch of money, right? Penn's at $5 billion market cap. So DraftKings, they don't have Barstool. They didn't buy the Score, the big media company in Canada. DraftKings still worth more than Penn Entertainment. Penn actually, again, makes money. DraftKings loses money, but DraftKings is worth more. To me, that's the last bit is really completing the circle and getting that physical presence, which is making money, which is valued much lower. But maybe that's why DraftKings doesn't want to do it, because then they're going to be viewed like a traditional casino when they're being valued, high growth, high flying tech startup, even though their stock was literally 3 times where it is today. If you like this video, go check out actually like a full day webinar that we did with the former CIO of Caesars and other leaders from the gambling and casino world, talking about these new digitization and new digital business models in the industry. That was there's multiple sessions, really deep dive panels and interviews. Really good session we did there.